Hello, my name is Bjorn and I'm a villain. In today's video, we are going to theorize on topic of what would have happened if Elyon Escanor became a villain that she was set to become. Let's begin now. Elyon's first appearance in the story depicts her as an average girl unaware of her extraordinary destiny. Raised in the earthly realm, her life takes an unforeseen turn as she is being introduced to her mythical heritage and the powers that come with it. The transformation of Elyon from an ordinary teenager to a powerful force within the witch universe symbolizes not only her personal growth, but also the larger themes of self-discovery and empowerment woven throughout the narrative. Throughout the entirety of the first arc, it is hard to overlook how insecurities and the lack of self-confidence led Elyon to wrong conclusions and making bad decisions that affected people around her. But before we're going to explore that, let's perhaps address an elephant in the room, or should I say the almighty snake, Lord Cedric, who played a pivotal role into Elyon's descent to villainy. To underestimate Cedric's talent to manipulation and his influence on Elyon's development as a character is not to pay attention to the story at all. If it wasn't for him, she would never become anyone meaningful in the Witch universe, as Kandrakar didn't seem to be interested in reinstating her as a rightful queen of Metamor, nor did they make any steps to hide her better, which could lead to a premature and disappointing demise. If it wasn't for Cedric, Phobos wouldn't be able to reach as far as the Earth and get his hands on her in the first place. And if it wasn't for Cedric, Elyon would remain an idle figure on a chessboard until the Guardians eventually found out about her royal heritage. Until they met, Elyon was a regular shy schoolgirl who loved to draw and was bad at math. Cedric was the one who kick-started a new era of her life and in which universe. He was the one who opened her whole new world and took her to it. He was the one who seemed to be ready to give it to her. Their bond was no joke, although built up on a web of lies. So of course we cannot possibly take a step to theorize what could happen in the evil route without including Lord Cedric in it somehow. Can we? Bad ending number 1. Mad Queen. True madness doesn't come out of a left field, neither does the path that leads to it. To achieve this bad ending, Elyon has to be put into a state of a severe emotional distress, and there is not much needed to be changed in the original story to do so. One of the key events that play a major part in Elyon's change of worldview is Cedric's attempt to eliminate Will in Illusions and Lies, despite her trying to save him from being killed by a group of rebels. This act is what forever painted Cedric as despicable in Elyon's eyes, and it is after this event when she finally starts to question his actions and grows distant. This event has to be kept in the narrative to ensure Elyon's growing suspicion of her alleged allies. What we need to erase is Cornelia's quest to infiltrate Meridian on her own in an attempt to reach Elyon. This leaves Elyon completely isolated from everyone she's ever known prior to leaving to Meridian, where she's effectively an alien imprisoned in a castle, unable to speak with any outsiders. Since Cedric is a fairly busy man performing his duties as a warlord, and Phobos does not wish to speak with her unless he sees it fit, she'll be left to think about her circumstances over and over again, all alone. We witness her do that in issue number 7, where she directly confronts Cedric about his morals, and cracks in her until then unshaken trust to him start to really show. Her doubts about the coronation and uncertainty about the future will slowly eat her alive until she yearns for an escape from this situation, making anything seem like an opportunity to get the answers she wants. This is when we need to include the Guardians sneaking in right before the coronation, when Elyon's already on the edge and struggling with paranoia, so that when she takes an opportunity to catch her brother in the act of murder, it completely shatters her world, proving the worst suspicions to be true. Boiling anger from being confined in castle walls for too long without answers and anyone to speak to, frustration from realization that this whole time she was just a living battery to use and dispose of, and the immediate slaughter of civilians by the army right after Phobos's failure to take her life will do the deed just fine. All we need is to multiply the brutality of Phobos's troops so that the Guardians are too busy defending themselves and are unable to help the civilians to escape. The bloodshed will convince Elyon in her brother's villainy, and the horror of death will make her defense fierce and uncontrollable. The panic, the fear, the crumb, the fire and blood will intensify all emotions that make it easier to lose control over magic, and eventually it'll go loose. And once it does, Elyon will realize just how destructive it can be, so she's gonna channel her fury into it and go on a rampage, killing the soldiers that crush her people, civilians who got unlucky to get in her way, ruin the buildings and force her way back into the castle and to Phobos. And then she won't be in the mood to be asking questions and have a talk. By this time, the fuming rage will cloud her mind, and there will be no standoff, as Phobos has no chance of winning in a fair fight. Sure, he is a great and skilled mage, but his mana has almost dried up. The battle might last for a while, but eventually he'll run out of powers to use and succumb to his wounds, as in her blind rage Elyon won't spare a single blow gone as non-lethal. Bad ending number 2. Blissful Bloom. To reach a blissful bloom ending, we first have to eliminate any circumstances that may lead Elyon to having doubts in Cedric or his intentions. Phobos, on the other hand, has always been a shady player, so we don't need to concern ourselves with her opinion of him. It'll only help us if he remains a suspicious hermit he is till the very end. To bloom from an ugly duckling into a perfect swan, all Elyon needs is a gentle push onto a path of pure violence, and being sheltered from ever facing the consequences of her actions. The lack of accountability is what can drive anyone crazy. We've already seen Elyon be drunk from power, so that's not something she's completely unfamiliar with. She's tried to hurt her former friends before, played petty tricks on them and attempted to pressure them psychologically. In her mind, this behavior was justified because the girls were on the wrong side and she was on the right. This blind trust into a superiority of her beliefs over the girls is the driving force behind her establishment as a villain. Not even once, not ever should she witness the ugly side of Cedric, his dishonesty and bloodthirst before she's ready. As long as he's guiding her without failing to keep a friendly facade, she'll fall deeper into his trap and become drunk on power. All he has to do is to keep Elyon euphoric long enough for her to get used to him slowly unraveling his true cruel nature, so that when he comes out as the monster he is, she'll be unfazed by his wrongdoings as they'll become a new norm. For that, she has to never witness Cedric's attempt to kill Will and spend more time with him or Phobos, not alone. The constant surveillance will ensure the failure of Cornelius' attempt to reach her and intensify the brainwashing. Her mind should be occupied by plotting revenge on those who she feels wronged her, and be constantly fed lies mixed with bitter truth. Cedric and Phobos, masquerading as martyrs ready to die for the future of Metamor, will have no trouble convincing her that she is the only beacon of hope that can free their world from unfairness of Kandrakar. Before everything else, Elyon has to believe that she is the ultimate and absolute power, and that she alone can free Meridian from all its suffering. And when she believes, she'll justify just about anything as the necessary evil to achieve the peace for her people. So before her death during coronation, she'll bloom into a true villain who believes in her right. Bad ending number 3. Purify what's rotten. In this ending, Elyon survives her coronation with both Cedric's and Guardian's help. It's not easy to achieve, but it is quite possible. To get this ending, we first have to unlock a subplot after Cedric's capture during Rebels' invasion to Earth in Illusions and Lies. To unlock this subplot, we need Cedric to activate the second half of his master manipulator brain and acknowledge Will's act of kindness and start considering the Guardians as potential allies. We know from issue number 4 that him and Elyon tried to recruit Tyranny to their side by breaking her spirit, and they supposedly intended to intimidate other girls to join them as well. So, instead of using the intimidation tactic, we should go with uniting to achieve the same goal strategy. Since both Cedric and Guardians don't want Phobos on Meridian's throne, joining forces to overthrow his rule is a logical solution. Of course, we know from the future arcs that Cedric would like to reserve that seat for himself, but not all at once. After receiving his punishment for failure to capture the Guardians in both Illusions and Lies and One Day You'll Meet Him, Cedric has to question his priorities and place his bets on Elyon as a master who'll be more appreciative of his services and easier to manipulate. Elyon defended him in front of Phobos even after he's just pissed her off, so choosing her over someone who gets him electrified after each failure is not an unforeseen decision. Becoming a Hand of the Queen is a great achievement on itself, and he has to strive to secure this position. But before that, he has to pin Elyon against her brother in a way that the latter doesn't smell something fishy. Cedric's best bet is to act vulnerable and be transparent about Phobos' mistreatment of him and how he struggles to perform his duties without a proper and competent backup. To not ruin Elyon's trust, he has to convince her that he made a shocking discovery of Phobos' plan to murder her during the coronation, and preferably show her the crown being actively cursed. And if she doesn't believe him, he has to reveal the truth about Phobos' garden. With this evidence, they should start plotting the prince's demise and taking over Metamor themselves. They can forcefully crown Phobos on coronation day in front of the crown, or they can murder Phobos before that. The main obstacle in Phobos' elimination plan, however, is his suspiciousness and the large number of murmurers that can overhear and rely Elyon and Cedric's plan to him. To avoid that, the plan has to be crafted on Earth under the guise of chasing the Guardians. But even if they succeed in crafting such a plan, the problem of having to deal with Phobos' army remains unsolved. Elyon and Cedric are just two people, so unless they go fully berserk on the brink of death, there is no way they can overpower such a large number of armed warriors. Now, despite our success or failure in recruiting the Guardians as our allies, the problem of being outnumbered persists. To resolve this issue, Cedric has to wield his warlord power and convince his subordinates to help conduct the coup. Additionally, joining forces with the rebellion would increase the chances of winning. Since Phobos' annihilators are equipped with magic, all coup participants should train their magical combat skills as well. It might be useful smuggling weapons and military equipment from Earth to get the upper hand in firepower too. With this, it should be possible to conduct the plan successfully and remain alive and victorious after. It would also be great to make Phobos' execution public to make a strong first impression as an official ruler. So far, this route does not make Elyon any more evil than she was in the original story, does it? Well, except the public execution part, but that's just laying a foundation. Eventually, she would have to deal with Cedric's ambitions whether she liked it or not, and then scheming and violence are inescapable, effectively turning her into a villain at some point. For this fanart, I wanted to depict a crueler and darker side of Elyon that I always thought we deserved. When she got off the rails and became a good character in the comics, I felt like I've been tricked as a reader because even though I witnessed her doubt in her judgment and the circumstances she was in on multiple occasions, it still didn't make enough sense. I'm not sure what it was, but her transformation into a good princess did not feel authentic, so it was hard to accept. In my headcanon, Elyon was supposed to remain evil till the very end and either take revenge on her brother on her own, or become his puppet until she's grown enough to claim the throne. To me, the idea of both siblings marching on Kandrakar together had more logic in it, but that's a subjective view. Of course, I never excluded Cedric from the county trio, so he is to remain besides these two, right where he belongs. And that's kinda the whole explanation for the piece. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of hypothetical villainous routes for our Queen of Metamor. I'm really grateful that I got to rely my theories out for you and hope that you like them. This will be all I wanted to say for this video. Thank you so much for watching and listening to my blubbering. If you have anything to comment or add to a conversation, please do so in the comment section below. My name is Björn and I'm a villain. I'll see you around. Bye!